panel, Ellen Datlow presents Night and Day.
Oh, right, right. Oh, sorry, yes. Hello. So do we just start?
Yeah. How's everyone doing?
Hello there.
Hello, StoryFest'.
Hi. So this is the last panel of the day, I believe.
Yeah.
I think that's right.
Yes, so we're closing it out.
There's Fearmongers Live
Yes.
coming up.
Where Clay will be doing things with us.
Yes.
But I want to introduce my book, Night and Day, which is a collection, an anthology of night horror and day horror. And it's a flip book, which is created in tribute to the ace doubles of the 60s, where they had two novellas, and they did it like that. And the way the book came to be was actually, I'm always thinking of a new theme. Got to find a theme, but you can't sell a non-theme anthology. So I was thinking, I came up with the idea of night and day, but what I wanted to do was a duology. I wanted to do two books, one whole anthology of night stories, and one whole anthology of day stories. And my agent couldn't sell it. But no one wanted to do two books. They said, maybe we'll do one book. But the person who actually came up with the idea of doing the flip book is Joe Monte from Saga Press. He decided to do a series of flip books. The first one is two short novels by Stephen Graham Jones, Killer on the Road, and I forget the other title, The Babysitter Lives. And this one, and then there's a third set. So that's how it came to be. Now initially, first of all, I want these are contributors to the book, and I'd like them to introduce themselves, and then we'll discuss various things about their stories. But please, to my left.
I'm Brian Evenson. My most recent book is Good Night, Sleep Tight.
A collection.
It's a collection, yes.
I'm Rachel Harrison. My most recent novel is Play Nice.
Hey, my name is Clay McLeod Chapman, and my most recent book is a collection of short stories as well called Acquired Taste.
Very cool. When I initially approached people, I first let it be open. I mean, when I send out guidelines, you could write a night story or a day story. Basically, the story has to take place in the day, or it has to take place at night. And you can choose what you want to do, whatever you want. And more people started writing night stories than day stories. I don't know why. I mean, I would have thought, well, day stories would have been more of a challenge, but nah, they wanted to do night stories. And finally, I think I had asked Rachel later in the process, can you write me a story? And I need a day story. You know, so she wrote me a day story. But anyway, Brian wrote a day story. Clay wrote a night story. He starts off with Trash Night, which is a really harrowing story about a garbage man in New York. And that's how we ended up with a bunch of different kinds of stories. But what I would like to do is so I'll start with Clay. What made you want to do a story about nighttime, and what got you to write about a trash man?
Well, I live in New York currently. I've been there for 25-ish years. I live in Brooklyn, and I find trash night, you know, in the city, you live in New York. Trash night is, you know, for us, it's every Tuesday night. You put your bins out somewhere kind of around like 4:30 in the morning, like, you know, the sun is not up, but you'll hear the rumble of the garbage truck going down, and, you know, you wake up and it's like the garbage fairies have taken your recycling and your trash away.
If you're lucky, unless there's a strike.
Yeah, unless there's a strike. But there was also, like, there's a kind of a confluence of things. I'm a father, and there's this children's book, and I'm not going to be able to, I'm blanking because I haven't remembered anything. But there's a particular children's book that has this kind of like smash, bash, here comes the trash. Like, and it's just this, and I was reading this to my kids, and it's just something that my kids are grown up-ish now. We're beyond this book. But it made like talking about trash and the garbage man fun, and I don't know, like I've just always been kind of fascinated with the kind of the character of a trash man and the things that they are finding in the garbage. And for me, when you kind of put out the call of like night or day, it wasn't so much like, oh, I gotta do a night story, or I really wanna do a day story. It was just that the characters and the kind of element of the story itself kind of necessitated, I mean, trash night, it was always, you know, if it was trash day, I would totally do a trash day, but that was...
No one picks up the trash in the daytime. Rachel?
So, yeah, when you first reached out to me, it was like, I need day stories.
Help.
But I think I had a book out last year called So Thirsty. It's a vampire novel, and there's a section of the book that takes place at a Ren fair, but it's like during the winter at night, so the Ren fair is closed. And I just thought like this would be such a cool hangout for like hipster vampires, essentially. Like, but I really loved that setting, and I had so much fun writing the scenes in the Ren fair. And then I just so happened to be watching, I think it came out last fall, on HBO, there was a documentary, I think it was called Ren Fair, or The King of the Ren Fair. It's about the Texas Renaissance Fair, and there's this like horrible, like villain old man who runs this Ren Fair, but there's like this like Game of Thrones style, like grab for power. Like he's like, who am I gonna leave the Ren Fair to? And there's like all of these people who like, they just like cut to them at the Ren Fair, hear ye, and like they take it so seriously. And it was a fascinating documentary, and I was watching that around the same time, so my head was in the Ren Fair. And so I thought of that setting. When you reached out to me, I was like, oh, I can set a daytime horror story in the Ren Fair. And I also think like any place that's crowded and hot is a horror story in and of itself. So I was like, I'm just gonna like, I think I would have done day anyway if it had been like, you could do night or day. I think I would have gravitated toward day.
So is the Ren Fair location in your story the same Ren Fair?
If I were to be like, it's a like this was, I think sometimes I'm like, oh, all my stuff is connected, but this one I was like envisioning a different Ren Fair, like just the setup of it and the wishing, like in my head just went a different direction. So no, I don't think it's the same one that the vampires hang out in.
And bad relationships.
There's room for a lot of Ren Fairs out there.
Yeah, there are actually a lot of Ren Fairs, Clay.
I just want like an MCU Harrison verse, like a...
I like to think that there is, but in that MCU verse, there's many Ren Fairs.
Sure.
Yeah, I used to go to the one in, No, there is one in Tuxedo. No, the one by the cloisters. That still exists. I just looked it up. I think it existed until about 4 years ago. I used to go in the 70s. I did not dress up, but I liked the garbage food, you know. What can I say? I've always loved cotton candy. Brian, your story takes place in the day.
Mine is a day story as well, and in fact, like Rachel, you wrote to me and you're like, I really need day stories at the time, even though I think it changed.
I was starting to freak out.
So mine is a day story. First, I want to say, when I was a kid, Clay, my parents had this record that they would put on to put me to sleep that was about a garbage truck. And it was, I am the garbage truck. I go to all your homes, though I'm always stuffed. I never get enough because my dinner is eggshells and bones. And they just put it on repeat.
And it put you to sleep.
It would put me to sleep, and then they were so afraid I would wake up that they would pull the fuse. And so that it would just kind of go, and wind down. So,
Oh my God, this explains.
so much. Yeah.
It does.
So that has nothing to do with my story. My story is set in the day. And you know, one thing also I did as a kid was I was really interested in just the way that light would come in through stained glass. We had a stained glass panel, or a fake stained glass panel, and make different shapes. And that kind of ended up being the start of my story. So it takes place in someone's house. The light kind of comes in a curious way, and as it does, something strange starts to happen.
And it's a bad first date.
It's set in the context of someone telling the story on a bad first date as well. So two kind of very horrific things happening at once. Yeah.
Ellen, did you find that there's like did you kind of roll your eyes at the kind of number of like authors defaulting to night that like is like, that's like almost like a cheat or it's too easy?
Well, I don't think that way. I mean, I just get the stories and I read them, I really liked them, and then suddenly 2/3 the way through or something, I realize, I only have 50,000 words of day stories and I have 70,000 of night. I'm screwed. Well, my editor is going to be very unhappy. So it's then when I scrambled, you know, it's like, oh, who can I force to write a day story? Yeah.
I'm pushing, forgive me, but like, do you think that like the people who, like the night stories, it's like, oh, there's...
Maybe it's easier. I mean, I think maybe on some level, because the night is scary, I mean, that was the whole intro kind of thing, is like, yeah, night is a scary time because you don't know what's going on. You can't see anything. Mm-hmm. You don't know what's out there. And so maybe writers feel it's easier to write about the night. So maybe, did you find it difficult to write about either of you?
I didn't necessarily as horror, partly because when I was a kid, I was both kind of phobic of things in the night and things in the day, and so it kind of just was okay. When I was pretty young, I got a second-degree sunburn that also burned out the protective covering of my eyes, and so I lived in fear of the sun kind of from then on. And then I was also afraid of the dark, and so it's like really I could only live in like shadowy places in between.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Can you tell that story?
What?
Like, how did you get
second-degree sun?
We were hiking. I went hiking with some friends on a glacier, and I didn't realize the degree to which the snow would reflect.
Right.
And so I wasn't wearing dark glasses. I had forgotten my sunscreen. We were out a lot longer than I thought we'd be out. And so I came back, and like, just my face was a mass of blisters. And the doctor was like, you need to stay in bed for 2 days with your eyes closed because of what you've done to your eyes. So, yeah. So because of that, So I, as a result, I feel like I already have a phobia of sunlight and the day. So I kind of could do it. Yeah.
That's a horror story.
Yeah.
You could written that.
Written about that?
No, I've not. No.
Time to.
It may be. So I should have written it about it for this. But yeah.
Next time.
Yeah.
Night and day, too.
Yeah. Second day. Yeah.
Right. So I'll do day and night instead.
Yeah. Right.
I think there's plenty of stuff to, like, when you're scared of everything, it's like just a buffet. Like, you could be like, night, day, either one. But I think that during the day, there's something about the sun and it being bright, and especially at settings that you don't expect to be scary, I think it's really fun to play in a place where it's supposed to be like setting a horror story at Disney World or something like that. So where everybody around you is having a great time, but you're having a really bad time. I think that there's something really fun about that. And I don't like crowds. I get very claustrophobic. And I think the like heat brings out the worst in people. And I really love Shirley Jackson. I mean, who doesn't? But like Shirley Jackson has some great short stories, particularly Demon Lover, and I think it's called The Tooth, where they take place during the day, and she just raises such tension and dread, and like you can kind of feel the heat, and you can feel unnerved because everybody around her characters in the story, they're kind of having an okay time, and she's having a like bad time, and then a worse time, and then a worse time. And like I love the tension there. So I think there's really a lot to play with during the day. So I think it might be more challenging to write a night story just because people like I think during the day. Yeah, it's been done, and people are like, I think it's harder to do something that's surprising at night. Did you find it challenging? Like,
I mean, the kind of mandate was there has to be a reason behind why it's at night or at day.
Did
like
I say that? I was hoping I did, but I couldn't remember if I did.
you
And I'm
did,
thinking,
yeah.
oh, good,
You
thank
did.
God.
Like it couldn't just be like an arbitrary oh, it's nighttime. Like it had to be like
Well, a couple of them might be.
real. Okay.
I mean,
Are you gonna dish? Are you gonna gossip?
I'm not.
You gonna...
No. You have to read them to find out. It's like no. It's like it could have
could
taken
take place
place
a
in the
day.
day. Yeah.
But no, like for me, like writing about trash night, like I do think that it felt as if there was something about New York City at night.
It's a very New York story.
Yeah. And I never write New York stories. Like this feels like it's in effect my first actual, like, I have this weird kind of like emotional stunting where like I'm originally from Virginia. I grew up in Virginia. I always write about Virginia just because that's my narrative default. But when the call came out of like to do this story, I was like, oh, I really want to write about trash night here in New York. And it was like the first, like it was one of the first, if not the first times I'm like, I want to write a story that is about New York and New Yorkers. Even though I've lived there for decades, like I haven't been emotionally prepared or adept to do that. So, yeah.
Well, and trash night is way more intense in New York than anywhere else I've been. Yeah.
It is?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, partly because sometimes people just put stuff out and don't really bother to
Yeah,
Guys,
disguise it or bag it, or half
just
of it
like-
gets torn open and there's rats.
furniture and and I mean,
you can furnish a whole apartment with the trash from New York. It's
I mean,
great.
I remember, when I moved to New York when I was going to college, and one of my first like actual apartments was with my girlfriend at the time, and we furnished our apartment with furniture that we found on the street. Yeah. And we
Yes.
like bed bugs. Bed bugs.
No, but
Bed bugs didn't exist back then.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. This was like 2,000 years, like a while ago, where like it was just
70s.
like it was at a place where like we were naive to that and we didn't worry about that. But I mean, we could talk bedbug stories if you want. Like I would.
No, I don't want to talk bed bugs.
But like New York, and I'm sure other cities have this, but like there is a certain kind of like give and take kind of like, we don't want this desk anymore, so we're gonna put it on the stoop or like take like the cardboard box full of books, like take one free. Like I just love that like, New York has this kind of like, I'm done with it, it's up for grabs, take it, it's yours, just I don't wanna, but trash night, my God, like, I'll shut up, I swear, but like they're just, like, there's some weeks where there's just like mountains of garbage bags that is like over your head. If you live like near or in an apartment building, like just like they start at 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon and they're just hefting out that week's garbage for, the trash guys to take, and it's intense.
I want to go back to sunlight for a minute. No, only because while we were talking, it never occurred to me, and for me, it's a missed opportunity. Paul Bowles. Oh, yeah. I mean, I never mentioned him in my intro, and Paul Bowles wrote The Sheltering. He wrote these magnificent, terrifying short stories and novels about the desert, about the sun in the desert, and I don't think I got a story like that, and I didn't even think of it to push someone, write me a Paul Bowles story. And I should have mentioned him in my intro because to me, it's like a lot of his stuff. I mean, he's a literary writer who lived in Morocco for many years, or I'm not sure it was Morocco or Algeria. But he was a brilliant writer, and he wrote mainstream stories about people who were not that nice, or maybe really fucked up, who lived in these exotic to us and exotic to him, even though he lived there for many years, locales. And he wrote about the sun, the burning sun, the sheltering sky, no sun, and I just realized, I'll have to do another book. And it's inspired by Paul Bowles.
Does that happen often, where you'll just be like, oh, that's an anthology? Like the idea will
No,
like.
it's not going to happen, but yeah.
No, but do you like have epiphanies?
Yeah, that's how Shirley Jackson happened.
Yeah.
It was at a reader con. Someone was saying, on a panel, who would you like to do a tribute anthology about or something? Because I did Poe. I've done a Poe inspired by Poe anthology. I never do pastiches. I've done Lovecraft inspired. And someone said, who would you like to do? And I just thought about Shirley Jackson. But nothing ever happened. And then I was trying to pitch Titan a book it was at a World Con in England, I think. And I did the thing you're not supposed to do. I actually spoke to an editor and pitched an idea, which at a part, you're not supposed to do that. I don't know how it came up. We were having a discussion. And I was trying to sell them a non-theme. I'm always trying to sell non-theme anthologies. But as we can talk about, they are very hard to sell to publishers because they're very hard to sell to the public.
I totally heard nun theme. Is that
What?
you said non-theme or nun-theme?
Non-theme.
Nun-theme.
Nun.
Nuns.
Unthemed, no theme.
Nuns.
No, nuns. I have never done a nun-themed
Is that the next
anthology.
collection?
We can go there next. But anyway, they said, we're back and forth. Yes, we want to do an anthology with you. And over the months, they came up with the Shirley Jackson thing. I didn't ever mention it to them. So I don't know why it was like a confluence to say, yeah, I'd love to do a Shirley Jackson one. By the way, I was thinking about it 3 months ago, but I never brought it up. So what was the question?
About how do themes come
Well,
to you?
sometimes it just happens. I mean, the Night and Day one just came to me. As I said, it was not meant to be a flip book. I wanted to do a duology. I wanted to do 2 books, 100,000 words each. But no one wanted to pay enough money for that. So that's how it became the one book. But yeah, sometimes I come up with the idea. Sometimes a publisher comes up with an idea. But it has to be something that I really am passionate about because I have to spend at least 2 years with it. So, my agent once said, why don't you do a dog anthology? I said, I like dogs, but I was like, no, I don't want to spend 2 years with them. and also, I don't think they sell as well as cats, for whatever reason. Who knows?
Would you do a cat anthology?
I've done 2.
You've done 2?
No. I've done Twist of the Tail for Del Abyss. And that was mostly originals with some really good stories. And Tales of Wonder and Imagination, terrible title, for
Shade?
Yes, thanks. Nightshade before it imploded and became something else. And that was a really big book, but and it has a beautiful cover that is that you can't see. Beautiful art, but it's like, what the hell are these? Oh, they're cats, So neither of them sold very well, which is interesting, right?
That's why you need the next saga flip book has to be cat
dogs.
Yeah.
Cat dog.
Yeah.
That's an idea, actually.
That is a good idea.
I wonder
See,
if
we're
Joe
just
will go.
like spitballing
So if
all these
you-
new anthologies. Nuns,
Yeah,
cats,
these are
dogs.
how ideas come,
Right.
It's like,
So if you see, I do agree, like Paul Bowles is like a good model for what is going on in the day side, and great stories if you don't
But I
know his
never
work.
thought
it's
of him
terrific.
at the
No,
time, which
but-
is really weird.
Yeah. Who would you put for Night? I mean, that maybe is why you didn't think of it. I mean, that's
many
the
people,
problem
that's
is
it.
like, yeah.
That's it. The quintessential night writer, I can't think of anyone specific. Can you?
No, I can't.
I mean, in mainstream or not. I mean, who's written about the night all the time? Anyone? Volunteers?
I could maybe see Eric LaRocca.
Oh.
Yes, but he's new.
Yeah.
I mean, no.
I mean, It Comes at Night is, I don't know.
Oh, yeah, the movie.
Yeah. No, so I mean, that's probably why you didn't think of Bowles for the day, because you were, you didn't have a.
Right, well, what about, I'm sorry, when does the thing take place? During the day, mostly, doesn't it?
Oh,
I mean, the
well,
original one and the remake, and the John Carpenter one.
Kind of, but
Doesn't
since it's Antarctica,
Who knows?
Yeah, you don't know what's going on
Yeah,
exactly.
but it is light time. I mean, it's not,
It's not super
dark.
dark, yeah.
no.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. I mean, it seems to be more of a challenge, but on the other hand, the iconic writer is of daytime. So when someone asks you to do a theme story, do you whether it's me or someone else, do you immediately say, ugh? Or do you say maybe? Or do you say yes? You know, it's like, I guess it depends on who's asking. But how do you feel about that versus non-themed, unthemed anthologies?
I mean, I will say this is my first anthology that you invited me to be a part of, and I felt the kind of awe, the kind of like awesome responsibility of like, oh my gosh, this is like, I you know, no smoke, but like it is cause for celebration for a young up-and-coming writer to be invited to participate and submit to one of your anthologies. And I was terrified. I mean, the answer was immediately yes. Like, there was just no, you know, I've been waiting for this all my life.
Yours was the first story that came in, you know.
I mean, I can't, I mean, like,
Seriously.
I mean, everything else, just put it down. I was like, I'm gonna write this.
Didn't Becky also say yours was
Well,
the
the
first essay
same thing
that
with
came in?
Becky.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
You're over-eager. This is not good.
I'm a little puppy. Like, I just wanna, like, say yes. But, like, I mean, I remember I gave my first draft to Rachel to be like, and, like, the kind of, like, conversation was like, this is my first Ellen Datlow anthology, and it's gotta be really good. Like, you know, help me with this story. So she gave me, you know, you were the beta read to, you know, send it in. And yeah, so just know that there's certain anthologies that you get invited to and you're like, yeah, sure, let's do this. This is fun. But this was like, okay, training for the Olympics almost, you know? And
I'm sorry that you felt intimidated.
well, I mean, I think it should feel intimidating. I feel like you're bringing together a stable of authors that are my personal heroes, that are people that I read as a fan, as someone that I want, like I choose to read these people, and to make the cut is like, you know, it just feels like there's a weight to that, a gravity to that, and I just want to be respectful.
I'm going to embarrass you now. Okay, you wrote one story for me so far. I've asked you for another. And what did you write me? You emailed me and asked me, do you hold all, I mean, you've worked with me already, okay? You've worked with me.
Yeah.
And you said, do you hold all the stories until you make a decision? And it's like, how could you think that? I mean, I bought your story. It was the first story that came in.
Yeah.
I mean, that's very paranoid. No. no, actually, there are editors. I mean, there are anthology editors. They wait until all the stories come in that they've asked for, and then they make their choices. And to me, that's cruel. I mean, to make someone wait for 6 months or 8 months to say, yeah, I'm going to take your story, or wait until something better comes in. No, if I get a story in and I love it, I contract for it immediately and pay for it immediately. So it was just surprising that you, who had already published with me, said that to me.
I mean, yeah, but there's just like this feeling of like, I don't know. I have no excuse.
No, I thank you. I mean, I thank you. And in fact, when I got your story, I don't know if I knew immediately, but it felt like the right first story for the section. Because putting together anthologies is an art and a science. And, you know, the order is important and totally unimportant. Because you can't, first of all, you can't guarantee what order anyone is going to read your book. You know, they may pick the favorite writers, they may pick shorter stories. But as an editor, I have to make some order out of these stories and not just throw them up and say, hey, you know, whatever, which some people do.
Well, I think it's a great story to start with because it's really grounded in place and has a kind of intensity to it that's related to family as well. And then it's followed by Eric's story, which is not grounded in anything, really. I mean, it's more abstract. It takes place in a place you can't quite detect. So those two stories together kind of give a range of what's going to go on.
Well, it's also, usually the first story is kind of showing what the book's going to be about. But because I had two halves, it was much more difficult
To pick,
because I had to do I had to treat them as two separate books, you know, and figure out the order of them, which is interesting.
Do you feel like there's what is the flow
No.
for, no?
Yes and no.
Yeah.
When I'm putting together I do have an idea of the first story. To me is the most important, so that's what was difficult about the two-sided book. As I said, it shouldn't be too long, it can't be too dense, it can't be too weird, although yours was kind of weird, but it has to be pretty straightforward because you want to get the reader to continue. And it should kind of give you an idea of what the anthology is about. After that, it's much more fluid. I mean, at the last story or the next to last story should be what you feel is kind of one of the strongest, or the longest, or both. And then in the middle, you vary. I mean, when I'm putting together an anthology table of contents, I have to look at the stories, all of the stories again, to remind myself what they're about, the point of view, where they take place, and the tone, and a lot of things. And you try to balance it whatever way. Am I doing it consciously as a, no. People say, oh, what a great order. It's like, well, I put this one here, and I put this one here, and I thought, okay, this one's too long, this one's short. And
So it's intuitive as much as anything.
I guess so, yeah. And if it works, great.
Were there any stories that you thought were going to be on one side that you ended up moving to the other side from night to day?
Oh, no, thank God, no. No, that would have been really weird. That would have been a failure.
But there might be one or two that, I don't know.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Some of the stories didn't have to take place when they did.
Right.
Those are the stories, maybe.
So you weren't tempted to say, can you rewrite this and then have it take place at, okay.
No. I want to tell a funny story about Jeff Ford's story. Forgot the title, but yeah, it's a day story and it's a monster story and it's fucking Predator. And he used everything but the word Predator. I said, you can't do this. This is like trademarked. You know, I said, I can tell it's Predator. You have to change this creature more. And he managed to jerry build the creature into something that wasn't Predator. You know, it's like, I mean, Jeff Ford does not write Predator stories, but he wrote a Predator story that was no Predator.
There's a line in it that's like, we got to get to the chopper. It's like, no, this is not a Predator story.
I'm sorry, Jeff's not on this panel. He's great. I mean, every story is about him and his wife. You know, and
Except for this one, which is
this
about
one
the Predator.
did not have
This one was
His
about
wife
him
was
and
the
Predator.
Predator.
Yeah.
This one had Predator in it.
Brian, you've written for Ellen
Yes.
frequently.
A couple, I don't know how many times.
Several times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Half dozen, something more, maybe more.
Is there a shorthand that the two of you have now, or is there like a conversation that takes place beyond the?
You know, it's funny because it's like I think that the thing that you often do, you know a lot of writers, and I think you have an idea of who might be a good fit for particular anthologies.
Mm-hmm.
So if that is the case, then Ellen will just reach out sometimes, and then usually I think I always do it just because I love the
But
I
you're
love the
also
constraint
very
of
easy
it.
to edit. You're a very clean writer.
Yeah,
And
maybe.
no, seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think I do much line editing on you.
No.
I mean, the line edit process is like a line-by-line edit, and some people get major rewrites and some don't. And the people who I've worked with, I have to remember the people who I'm just starting to work with, I have to be nicer. I can't be mean. I just have to be kind when I'm telling you this doesn't work,
Right.
this particular line. But with people I work with all the time,
Yeah,
it's like, this sucks.
You
It's
can
like,
say anything to me and it won't.
I know,
it just
and
doesn't
Jeff
bother me.
Ford, I mean,
Yeah.
I turned down one story by Jeff Ford, and I said, it's terrible. And it's the only story I ever turned down by him, I think. And I don't remember what he did with it, but it's like, it was awful. It was stupid. I said, it's stupid.
Did you say this? Did you say those words? Terrible, awful,
Probably.
stupid?
Well, I don't think I said awful, but I don't remember exactly what I said, but I did not like the story. But generally, I try to be kind to, I try to remember to be very.
So that's what you have to look forward to as you publish more and more.
Yeah. So how did I work with you? Did we work okay together? I mean, did I have a lot of stuff? I don't remember.
No, it was great. It was great.
So I was not mean?
No, not at all.
Good. I don't mean to be mean, but it's like if I've worked with you, I mean, Jeff, must have bought at least 20 stories from him, and it's like,
Yeah.
we do have a shorthand. It's like, no, that doesn't work. You know, please fix that.
And I think actually it's easy to appreciate that as well. It's like you want to have it be a good story, you trust the editor, and
Yeah.
it kind of makes sense.
And
So-
if you have an argument, fine, argue
Yeah.
with me. John Langan has argued with me. John Langan is a great writer. I'm always saying he's late and he's long. Always. Too late. He's always late and he's always long. And he's late, and because he's late, it's harder to line edit because I don't have enough time, which I don't know if he does intentionally or not. But we have had arguments. At least one line I remember, I said, this makes no sense. He said, yes, it does. I said, no, it doesn't. He said, yes, it does. And I said, would you please goddamn fix it? You know, I mean, I think I finally bullied him into changing whatever it was. It's like, this makes no sense, this line. So yeah, sometimes, you know, but I would never do that with a new writer, with someone I was working with the first time. Never.
God, can you imagine just being a new writer and just being like, no, it's not. Have you ever had to deal with any
new writer responding like John?
Like a bratty.
Yes, but I'm not saying who.
We're
the
just
person
like-
is no longer a new writer, but
We're just like it's like a tea party up here. We're like, spill it.
I'll tell you
Right.
privately, but not in public. Yeah. No, there are people who start out really knowing who and what they are, and if you appreciate their writing, you let it go. I mean, I had Tanith Lee, was not a new writer. Terry and I bought a story from him, Snowdrop, from her, and there was a line. She said, "You can't change anything." I said, "You're right." But anyway, I was line edit. There was a line where she had the wrong word or the wrong line. Something was wrong with the line, and I knew she wouldn't change it. I just changed it. She never noticed.
Don't
It was
tell
wrong.
her.
It was wrong. It was either typo, but she didn't want to deal with it. And it's like, I'm not going to make you look silly. I'm not going to let you do this to yourself.
You asked at the beginning if what we, not the beginning, but a little while ago, whether we enjoyed having the constraint of writing towards a theme or not. And I actually really do. I feel like it often puts me in a position of writing something that I might not have come up with without the constraint. So I enjoy it.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it depends on, I think as a writer, it matters just as much knowing when to say no as it does to say yes. So I've had invitations to anthologies where I'm like, I can't, this isn't for me. I have nothing to contribute to this. I'm gonna struggle to write a story, and I don't, I'm not emotionally invested in it. But I got invited to a Punk Goes Horror anthology.
Okay.
And they were like, you pick a band and you pick a song and you write a story that's inspired by that. And I was like, that's awesome. And I never would have written that story on my own. But that's, this story for the daytime anthology that I wrote for this, I never would have just sat down and been like, what if I was writing a horror story that takes place, what? So I really love that because it pushes you to think about something that you might not have done, come up with on your own. So I really, really love, I love a theme, but I also think it's important to be this theme is not to know when it's this is not for me, or this is a good opportunity to push myself out of my comfort zone or think about something I don't normally think about. Do you feel the same?
I say yes to everything. I'm the village bicycle when it comes to anthologies. But you bring up an interesting point, and I want to ask you, because Brian, I feel like Brian writes both short story collections and novels, but I feel like when I close my eyes and think of Brian's work, I gravitate towards the short story collection.
I do too, yeah.
Yeah. You've written a collection of short stories. You do write short stories, but I feel like you're known for your novels.
We
So
can change that.
what is the approach to the decision that goes into this is a story that I want to tell, but it is a story and not a novel. I will say yes to this anthology because where do short stories exist for you personally?
I think there's some concepts that I know I just can't, that the car is going to break down after a certain point. Some ideas are meant to be short. And I think that's another way as a writer you develop your instincts and you kind of just know all right, I have this idea for a real magic 8-ball. It's in my collection, Bad Dolls. It's the first story. It's called Reply Hazy, Try Again. And I was like, oh, I like this idea of a magic 8-ball that you shake it, and it's get your shit together. And but that's not a novel. That would be boring. There's only so much she can be So it became a short story. I think it's important to know but for Play Nice, I have this idea of it's a possessed house in Amityville Horror, and there's kind of deeper themes there that I wanted to explore, and I was like, this has enough, there's enough here that I can get, and I don't write doorstoppers. I write 75 to 80,000 word novels. So to me, I think it's an instinct thing. And I think, like, for me, sometimes the higher the concept, the better it is in a shorter story.
Yeah. For me too, it's like my default is to write things as short stories because I love that form. But yeah, every once in a while, it's like the concept is such that I'm like, yeah, this does not. It won't fit in this form, and there's so much more to explore for it. So yeah.
You write both too. So how do you?
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it's kind of like the noodle. Like I like to like I don't play music, but this is what I imagine playing a guitar is like. So like writing a short story is just kind of like you're kind of noodling on the guitar one afternoon, and it's just like this feels like a song or this feels like an album.
I think that's more a poem as a noodle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, then I mean, like your stories, I feel when I read one of your stories, Brian, like I'm entering into a world that I only catch a glimpse of.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
Yeah.
I almost want to argue that any of your stories could be novels.
Well, so yeah, okay, yeah. I mean, you may be right in terms of I'm very my tendency is to do as much as I can with as little as possible, and so in that sense, it's like there are writers that could take some of my longer stories, especially, and make them into something that was novella or novel length.
Well,
So.
short story editors are always saying and always believe that novels should be short stories. They're too long. That novels should be trimmed by at least 20,000 words. And of course, long form editors feel that stories are not finished.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I edit through novellas, and that's about it. And yeah. But I love short fiction.
And then for the novel, I mean, like the 75 to 80,000 word range is something that works for me much better than the 120,000 word novel. Yeah.
Yeah, I have trouble getting through a really, really long novel.
Yeah.
So who's your favorite, Ellen?
Not you.
Don't say that to poor Clay.
Clay.
No, but in
We'll talk about this later.
Yeah, Jeff Ford is there. That's right.
Predator.
Funny.
But in Night and Day, like is there? I'm not going to ask you to what's your favorite, but like, do you feel like there's one that or maybe let's like in broader terms of like anthologies that you've worked on, like are there those writers or stories that like you feel like you remember like hitting the target?
Yes, there's stories. When people ask my favorite stories, I said, look at the stories I reprint over and over again. That's how you know them. They're my favorite stories because I love them. And I'll reprint them whenever I have the opportunity, like Tiptoe by Laird Barron. The more I read it, the more I find in it, and the more thrilling it is as a story. I mean, more horrific, even though it's very subtle. So it takes time, usually. Right now, because I'm reading for my year's best, I may pick something from Night and Day for the year's best. I don't know yet. And then, of course, the sad thing, I don't want to insult all my writers by picking one story, but I can't take more than 2 or 3 stories, the most from any anthology I edit. But no, the stories that I reprint in various reprint anthologies, in Nightmares, in Darkness, 2 Decades of Modern Horror, those are the stories that stick with me. And there are stories from, well, when I was working for sci-fi.com, we did classic stories every week, I think. And I basically found every story I could stand. But really great stories, Charles Beaumont, Ray Bradbury. I mean, just all these amazing classic stories that either I grew up with or I discovered later that I think are terrific. Richard Matheson. I mean, I grew up reading Richard Matheson's Shock 2 and Shockwaves. There were 3 collections of really creepy stories, some of which were made into Twilight Zones. Those are the stories I grew up with, and some of them I still love and remember, some I don't. The Sea Was Wet as Wet Can Be by Gain Wilson is one of my favorite stories. I think it was published in Playboy originally. And it's basically the walrus and the carpenter, but with humans, basically. And it's really, really creepy. So, there's story, Harlan Ellison, I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. One of my favorite horrific science fiction stories. So I mean, the stories that I reprint and that when someone says, what's your favorite? There is no one favorite. There's no one, which is your favorite anthology you've edited? It's like, come on, it's like picking my babies. I mean, there's some that I like more than others. and for whatever reason. I mean, I really love Fearful Symmetries. I love doing it. It was a unthemed anthology. And I just want to say, unthemed anthologies are a lot harder to edit than themed. Because once you get everything, it still kind of forms into a theme. You still have to form it into something as a book. And I find that it's more complicated, that I have to think more about organizing it for it to work. And also to get the right mix, to get a mix, you know.
Just think how hard a nun-themed anthology would be.
Should I do a nun-themed anthology? Nuns on the Run.
2 years from now, there is a nun anthology from you. I'm gonna want.
I will ask you to write for it for sure, but I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, Christmas and Other Horrors was as close as I got to sacrilege. I thought for sure I thought for sure that my publisher would say, "You can't call it that," but they loved it. So I was like, okay. And it's selling really well this year too. So, do we have time for questions? If we have time for one or two questions, but you have to shout out, because when people were asking questions, I couldn't hear a word. Does anyone have a question or a comment? No? Okay, then keep going.
I think is that it? Are we?
I don't know.
Well,
We're at Code Orange.
Oh, tell me what you're working on, what you're working on next.
Okay.
Not what you have coming out this minute, but
I'm currently working on my first Toward Nightfire novel, which will come out in 2027.
Cool.
Called
Okay.
Mr. Lonely Hearts.
Mr. Lonely Hearts?
Mr. Lonely Hearts.
Cool, excellent, okay.
So playing with the Nathaniel West title? Yeah.
Little bit.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm editing my next novel, which will hopefully be out next fall. It's called Kiss, Slay, Replay. It's a time loop horror novel that takes place at a wedding.
Awesome. I am working on a possession novel.
Ooh.
And I'm only about halfway through, but so far it's working well, and a lot of people are possessed, and strange things are
Sounds
happening.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've got my year's best coming out in like 2 weeks. I think number 17 is coming out, just so you all know. Best Horror of the Year, number 17, from Nightshade Skyhorse. I have a Lovecraft's Brood is an all reprint anthology from Tachyon. Lovecraft sells, and they always want to put Lovecraft in the title, but it's all reprints, but it's cosmic horror rather. And I wanted them to call it, make sure it was on the cover. Nah, and the inside may say cosmic horror, but. And I'm working on an anthology right now that is going to be late, but should be coming out next year, All Hallows Eve, which will be a kind of a Halloween anthology. So I'm finishing that up. So that's what I'm working. And of course, editing for Tor.com novella series and the Reactor, and too much work, too much stuff. And yeah, so anyway, but I think we should just finish off.
That's it. Bye.
We're done.
Thank
We're
you so
done.
much for being
Come and buy
here.
some books and we'll sign them for you. Lovely to see
back
you all.
signing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Stay for Fearmongers. Is that 6?
Yeah,
Clay?
Fearmongers.
Yeah. So 6 p.m. Fearmongers. It's gonna be a fun time. So we'll see you soon. Thank you.